Hi, this is Scott Garibay. Woo woo! Tomorrow is October 15th. Tomorrow is the Ohio CNN New York Times Debate 4. Tomorrow night we get to watch Andrew Yang slay dragons. It's going to be awesome. I am super excited. I hope you're excited too. I just want to take the opportunity to just say I hope you have a great time tomorrow. Boy, I am just happy as I'm so happy right now because, I love that these debates are firing off and there's just so much excitement in this campaign. I really am just getting really excited seeing Andrew Yang qualify for each new debate and just seeing, and also, we're getting to see evolution in real time, right? We're going to see an evolution of Andrew Yang on debate 4. He has gotten better in every single debate, and I'm absolutely convinced he is going to be rock star better tomorrow, right? And I just can't wait, and I'm just so excited about these debates firing off like every 6 weeks. It's just fantastic, and it's kind of reshaped my life, right? Because this is a highlight. This is like it's like a free movie, that we get to go see. And each movie is just epic, and we can talk with our friends and we can discuss it and we can, intellectually pull it apart and we can, dissect every aspect of it. It's just so fantastic. And I really just want to thank each and every one of you for letting me share my enthusiasm about these debates, my experience with these debates, my analysis for these debates. It's wonderful. And boy, this is, I love politics, and this is an incredible race. And I'm more excited about this race than any race I've ever been excited, because there's a better candidate in this race than I've ever seen in my entire life on this planet. And so, I'm super excited to see Andrew Yang just crush it tomorrow night. I cannot wait for him to just get up there and wreck a whole bunch of fools, right? It is going to be sweet. I am very looking forward to it, and I'm wishing you a very happy debate day tomorrow, right? I'm just like so over the moon, and I can't wait, for tomorrow to be here, right? So, all right, now today, what I want to talk about is I want to specifically come back at Paget Kagi's specifically her recent commentary on how Andrew Yang wins debate 4, right? And she specifically said that, and so I want to take a thin slice, right? And I'm going to go right at her, because I think she's wrong on 3 points, right? Now, why am I taking the time to say Paget Kagi's wrong? Well, let me put it into context, right? So I'm going to spend a lot of this video saying that I think Paget Kagi is wrong on 3 narrow points, right? But before I do that, I want to put all of this into context. So, 1, this is my attempt to intellectually spar with Paget Kagi. We do the same thing, right? We talk about Andrew Yang every single day. We're both political commentators, right? But I want to put it in perspective, right? So 1, Paget Kagi's channel and her political commentary and her far dwarfs my own, right? So 1, she's so far ahead of me and what I'm doing, right? And let's be super clear. If you're not, I'm suspecting almost everybody who listens to this channel is subscribed to Paget Kagi, but make sure you're interacting with her content, sharing her content, putting comments on her content, liking her content, that you're fully subscribed. And the reason why is she has an amazing channel, right? So, and she's fully surpassed me, right? So this is me, just trying to intellectually spar with a better, right? Because she's doing the same thing I'm doing. She is talking about Andrew Yang every single day, but she's going much farther, right? She is really powerfully doing a great job of activism at the same time, right? That is amazing. Like, she is really just doing a fantastic job doing political commentary, which of course I think that's an amazing activity. I love political commentary because I'm a political commentator, right? But she is really doing the hard work, getting people really excited, and she's traveling to events, she's doing phone banking, and I just want to say thank you to Paget Kagi for really setting the bar high, right? She has set the bar for all political commentators, and she stands like on a hill, like, you know, kind of beckoning everybody, follow me, right? Get at my level, right? So I am going to say, so I'm going to spend a good bit of this video saying where I think she's wrong on a narrow band of things, specifically for debate 4, and there's good reason why I'm going to take the time to go right back at her, right? But before I say any of that, I really want to say I'm a huge fan of Paget Kagi. She's fully surpassed my channel on every level, on activism, on commentary, on all the numbers, all of it, right? So this is me just attempting to intellectually spar with someone who's clearly doing what I do better, right? All right, so let's get into it. All right, so what do I disagree with Paget Kagi on? Well, in her video, she said, hey, here's how Andrew Yang wins debate number 4. And she said 3 things specifically about how Andrew Yang talks, what communication he uses in the debate, right? And I have a mnemonic for it. Long, oh boy, am I forgetting my mnemonic? So long interjections, right? Oh, long pivoting interjections. Got it. Okay, thanks. All right. So first of all, she wants him to go long. She wants him to specifically ignore the time limit and go long, like all the other candidates, right? She also wants him to do more pivoting, right? So that means somebody gives you a question, right, about climate change, and then you pivot it and you talk for a UBI for 4 minutes, right? Or no, actually, a better one. No, let me make sure I'm matching what she said, right? Somebody gives him a question about China for the 4th debate in a row, and then he pivots to talk about climate change, or to talk about climate change. He needs to gain more ground with people knowing about his really nuanced, really cool take on climate change, right? So that'd be a pivot, right? So that's a pivot. Pivots are incredibly common. Pivots are like breathing for politicians. Politicians pivot constantly, right? Like it's a skill, right? That the vast majority of politicians have heavily perfected, right? And then the last one is interruptions, right? They don't want him to be cut off. They want him to jump in, and like if he has something important to say when it's somebody else's turn to talk, he should interrupt, right? Or if somebody interrupts him, he should fight harder to get it back, jump back in, but not hesitate to interrupt, right? So long pivoting interjection, right? Go long on time, pivot questions that he doesn't like, right, or that aren't to hit the message that he wants to talk about at the moment, and interrupt, right? And boy, I 100% disagree with this. I really do. And I have a lot of sympathy for Paget because I know why she wants this, right? So a ton of people, and people in my own comments, say this constantly. Say, hey, he's got to go long. He's got to interrupt, right? And he's got to pivot, right? And all of this is because they're saying, he's losing ground. He doesn't have the same energy. He doesn't look as aggressive as all the rest of the candidates. And also a lot of people think it makes him look weak, right? I get all that, right? But one of the things that so if you look at my commentary, I think I've been doing videos on Andrew Yang, one a day for like 6 months, right? And like if you go back and you check 3, 4, even 5 months ago, you will hear me saying a lot, Andrew Yang's wrong, Andrew Yang's wrong, Andrew Yang's wrong. Well, that has stopped, right? Because one of the things I realized a while ago is, one, we're going into debate 4, and Andrew Yang has really specifically chosen to talk differently than ever. Like, in the first debate, you might have chalked it up, oh, he's not a politician. In the second debate, you're like, oh, he's really a polite person. In the third debate, he's still doing the same thing, right? He's not going long, he's not pivoting, and he's not interrupting, right? And so I think, when you see this through 3 debates, right, I think it's a distinct choice. And one of the things that I am getting a lot better at is trust the candidate. Trust our noble champion, Andrew Yang. I am more and more convinced every single day that he is like not even a normal human being, right? He is stellar smart, right? And I think he's tracking at a level, and I will say this too, I really think he has to hide how smart he is. I don't really think, you see clues of it, right? But the reality is, this world hates brilliance. They really do. Like, this is why, the best pizza shop in your town sells 1/4 of the pizza of Domino's. You know, like this world hates brilliance, right? And so he's got to be very careful how much of his intelligence he shows. But I think every single one of these, not going long on time, not pivoting, and not interrupting, are very specific choices. And I think we're going to see it again tomorrow night. I'm predicting he is going to do the same thing he's done before, right? Now, why do I disagree with Patrick Kagi? And I think this is fine. He should do what he's been doing, right? He should look weak, right? And lose time and have the least amount of time, right? And have stupid questions served up that he actually spends time answering and not getting to get his points out, right? Well, the reason why is he is not a politician, and it is his base nature. And when we ask him to do this, right, we are trying to change him. We are trying to change his base nature, right? And, you know, okay, so I'm going to tell a little bit of story here about something else that I really care deeply about. And one of the reasons why I feel very, very strongly that he needs to not follow Patrick Kagi's advice on this. Don't go long, don't pivot, do not interrupt, right? Keep on the same path he's on. All right, I care deeply about Dungeons & Dragons. I've played since I was 12 years old, started in 1982. Dungeons & Dragons has 5 editions. It has a player's handbook, a dungeon master guide, and a monster manual. I own D&D 1st edition, 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition, right? They're on a shelf in my house like a shrine, right? I have copies that are my pristine copies. I have copies that are my note copies. I have copies that are my play copies, right? It's ridiculous. I have a lot of these books, and they're incredibly special to me, okay? Dungeons & Dragons, when it comes to table play, when it comes to rules design, is not the best tabletop role-playing game in the world. When it comes to reach and when it comes to cultural impact, nothing touches Dungeons & Dragons. I will buy every single version of Dungeons & Dragons till the day I die, right? I'm ride or die for Dungeons & Dragons. I'm so down with that game, right? But the reality is, I actually spend a lot more time nowadays playing a game called Index Card RPG. Index Card RPG stands on the shoulders of Dungeons & Dragons and is frankly, from the table experience, the play experience, the rules experience, even the art, it far surpasses Dungeons & Dragons in virtually every single way, okay? Now, Dungeons & Dragons is a beautiful game, but it is complex and slow, right? It is complicated and slow. So when you play Dungeons & Dragons and you bring 4 people, 4, that's a normal table, a dungeon master and 4 players. When you bring in 4 people, here's what happens. You spend 2 hours making all your character sheets. You then jump into your adventure. You spend a half an hour telling story, and then you hit your first combat, right? It'll be 4 player characters, and they'll be fighting against 8 monsters, let's say, right? So you hit your first combat, and what happens at that point, right? Well, that combat's going to go an hour and a half, right? But now you're a half an hour into your first combat, and the game ends in the middle of the combat. That's a 3-hour session, and that is the beginning of every campaign for Dungeons & Dragons, right? You do the same thing with Index Card RPG. Index Card RPG is simple, elegant, and fast. You spend 15 minutes building your character sheets, right? And then you spend a half an hour telling a story. You hit your first combat. Your combat with 4 player characters and 8 monsters takes 15 minutes. You go deeper in the story. You hit another combat, right? You 15 minutes, and then you wrap your story. You build characters, you tell story, you fight monsters, you tell stories, you fight monsters, you finish your story, right? And people walk out of it saying, "Oh my gosh, that was an incredibly exciting, simple, fast, elegant experience," right? Whereas Dungeons & Dragons, you bring them in, and it's super complicated and super slow, right? Now, the reason why I enjoy Index Card RPG so much better, right, is you get people who really like simple, fast, elegant games, right? Rather than people who like ponderous, slow, complicated games, right? Now, the reality is the only reason Index Card RPG is better than this is it literally stands on Dungeons & Dragons' shoulders. It's not actually a better game. It's just better with table experience and better with its gameplay, right? But the reality is it couldn't exist without Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful about Dungeons and Dragons. I'm just explaining this, right? So here's what happens. There are many, many, many things that make Index Card RPG much, much better than Dungeons and Dragons. One of them is how they deal with weapons, right? So in Dungeons and Dragons, you have a D4 die for a dagger. You have a D6 dagger for a short sword. And for a long sword, you have a D8, right? When you do the same thing in Index Card RPG, it's 1d6 for all, right? This drives people crazy, right? So people come in and they get blown away by how much better Index Card RPG is than Dungeons & Dragons, but then they show up 2 weeks later in the forums and they say, hey, I love Index Card RPG, but I'm going to fix this damage issue, right? And I'm going to make it, I'm going to fix it, right? I'm going to take all the crunchy little bits that D&D has, and I'm going to add it back into Index Card RPG. The problem is, what they don't understand is they're changing the base nature of the game, and when you do that, you grind that beautiful rule set of Index Card RPG back down to the ponderous, slow, complicated rule set of Dungeons and Dragons, right? And that's exactly what I think Paget is asking for Andrew to do. She's so used to seeing politicians, right? She sees how they score points, right? She sees how strong they look when they interrupt somebody. She sees how they're getting to say everything they want to say, right? She sees how they don't have to deal with stupid questions, right? They don't actually answer stupid questions. They just pivot, right? But here's the thing. The fact that Andrew Yang is not a politician is his greatest strength. It is his base nature, right? It is what must be preserved. And in the long run, if we allow Andrew Yang to be what he is, a kind, respectful, super intelligent, super awesome person, I think each one of these debates shows his base nature, right? He is not a crocodile. He does not have green scaly skin. He does not have a 2-foot wide mouth. He does not have big fangs coming out of his face, right? And that's just it. We want him to put on an alligator cloak, an alligator skin cloak. We want him to put in a set of fangs, right? We want him to look like what we're used to, right? And it disturbs us. It makes us uncomfortable what he is not, right? But that's the point. If we're going to win, we had better get real used to being uncomfortable, to recognizing when someone is doing it better. And Andrew Yang is doing this game better than any candidate I have ever seen in my life. We have to step back. We have to let him play his long game. We have to allow him to preserve his wonderful, pure, awesome base nature, right? We cannot turn him in to what we detest simply because it's what we're used to, right? And it's painful and it's uncomfortable, right? But the reason why I'm pointing this out now is this is just the start. We're going to have to do a lot of painful, uncomfortable things to get through the next 13 months, right? That's how far we are. We're 13 months away from go time. We are 13 months away from casting our votes, right? Tomorrow, we get to watch Andrew Yang slay dragons, but it is going to look different. It is truly going to look different, right? We have to be patient. We have to be uncomfortable with this, right? We cannot allow him to change his base nature. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.